Hello everyone, it's Kern here. Welcome to the Demented Ferrets channel. This is a segment called Kern's Collections, a series dedicated to brief glimpses of media and why you might enjoy them. This is not a review. This is merely a simple glance at an anime that could be worth your time. Today I'm going to be talking about Death Note. I'd like to think that the series is so well known that most anime fans already know of it, but I recently realized how wrong I was. I met someone who was so new to anime as a fandom that they didn't even know that Death Note was more than a live-action series that could be found on Netflix. They only recently got into anime as of this year, and, well, as you can expect, many shows just aren't on their radar as of yet. So, I'm going to highlight some of the good and bad that this series has to offer. While it's true that Death Note does have a live-action and written media counterparts, today I want to talk about the anime itself. The series came out in 2006, so I can understand why newer anime fans may not have gotten around to it yet. First of all, let me just begin by saying this. The series is a Madhouse production, and in the early 2000s, Madhouse was considered top-of-the-line anime. They're still great nowadays, don't get me wrong. It's just that back when Death Note came out, they stood as the cream of the crop, so to speak. So, anyway, you know you're going to get quality in a series like Death Note for a lot of reasons. And despite how old it is, Death Note has a lot of good animation and a strong soundtrack. So, don't let the fact that it was made in 2006 put you off. The series is a thriller first and foremost. But it is also a very good anime when it comes to studying society at large. The complex interplay between the characters makes you think that the minds of the core cast are all that really matters, and that might be true the first time you watch Death Note. However, I find that the first half of the series is even more rewarding the second or third time through, when you can sit down and really sink your teeth into the implications of the world that Death Note attempts to illustrate. The story is simple. A notebook falls from the sky and into the hands of a boy named Light Yagami. This young man is on the brink of graduation, bored, and with more ambition than he knows what to do with. He takes the book home and finds out that it has incredible power. With the book in his hands and a clear set of rules in place, he comes to realize that he only needs a name and a face. With those two things, the notebook is able to take human lives with little more than a few pen strokes. Naturally, Light lacks basic human empathy in many ways, displaying what passes for it, but never truly feeling it. As he chooses to take the law into his own hands, he plans to make a better future, one that he can become the god of. He wants to build a whole new world, based on his desires and his ideals. Now, this is a problem for the people around him for more than a few reasons. None more so than Light's own immaturity and lack of perception. He's not a good person, and he's really not the sort of guy you can root for if you have any value in humanity at all, especially once he begins taking the lives of innocent people for his own gain. Frankly, he isn't meant to be the sort of character you can cheer for. Well, unless you like cheering for villains, I suppose. Make no mistake about it, Light is a villain from start to finish, but he is a very well-written character even at his worst. What makes the series so interesting, at least for the vast majority of it, is the interplay between Light and the surrounding characters. This especially holds true for a character simply known as L. It's the mind games and competition between these two characters that keeps the series engaging. The anime itself has many supernatural elements. Gods of Death and the concept of the book itself falls squarely into the territory where you'll need to suspend your disbelief. The same goes for Light's amazing intellect and the ability to outsmart the forces opposing him. In general, this isn't hard to do. More often than not, the series invites you to do this, and viewers often don't have an issue doing so. Now, that's not to say the anime is all sunshine and roses. It's far from it. Speaking from a time when I was a young adult, I look back upon Death Note very fondly. Anime conventions were full of cosplayers, and L was a very common character to go as because he was so easy and simple to dress as. To cosplay as L, you required only a tiny bit of makeup under the eyes, a black wig, a white shirt, a pair of men's jeans, and a simple pair of unobtrusive flip-flops, since, you shouldn't walk around barefoot at a convention center. He was the perfect character to cosplay as when you have very little money to your name and still wanted to get in on the fun. So, he was a common character to see walking around. Taking off the nostalgia goggles, though, there comes a time when Death Note falls flat on its face in more ways than one. I won't speak about why, as those would be spoilers. However, what I will say is that when a few new characters start coming around in the back end of the anime, they just can't compete with their predecessors. At that point, the story is in no way able to live up to the thrilling and suspenseful ride that it had built up to that point. You may find that to be a disappointment. However, to avoid the series strictly because of its shortcomings would be a huge disservice. Not every anime is perfect, most are not, and this one had its flaws too. Even with the nostalgia goggles removed, there's a lot of good things here. One last caveat. The final episode is absolutely abysmal, but fear not. There are live-action movies that don't include that crap as part of the narrative, and if you really want to see those, give a look for them. They're around. I'll talk about them at a later time, though. Regardless, I still feel that Death Note is well worth your time and attention. Even though we live in an era of more anime than we often know what to do with, so few can match what Death Note has to offer. So, if you're a new fan, or you simply bypassed it, go back and give it a try. At the time of this video, the anime series can be found over on Funimation and on Crunchyroll. So, this is where I leave it. Now it's in your hands. Do you want more content until then? Did you know that Christian and I have a Twitch account? We stream games every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Sometimes I stream solo on off days. We also have a Twitter account and a blog. There are links in the description. Please check them out and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting our content. If you'd like to become a patron member yourself, the link is in the description. This is Kern, and you've been watching The Demented Ferrets, where stupidity is at its finest and level grinds are par for the course. I'll catch you in the next video. See you there.